Friday, November 21st. You're watching the Hammer Daily here on the Hammer Betting Network, presented by FanDuel. I'm your host, Jason Cooper, alongside my producer for the next hour and a bit, Jacob Gramegna, behind the boards. Had a great time last night. Look at him. He's a little happy, a little cheerful because he hit an anytime touchdown score.
Dude, I've been sweating darts all morning.
Not sweating like physically sweating, but like you're watching darts, sweating darts.
Not watching darts while I work, but before I came to work, I was sweating a bunch of bets this morning. It's been a big day so far.
All right, look at that. The Ray Davis definitely helps out. And
I had a losing day. Ray Davis made it a lot better.
Okay, all right. I think it sounds like we all had a losing day yesterday, which is
not George.
Not George. Yeah, George. I don't know how that
ended up crushing it.
How did that under come home? I don't know why. How did the Bills lose? They look bad. It was just a disaster of a game. Anyways, probably not get into that today. Maybe we'll quickly touch on that with George. See you guys in the chat. Marcus Erickson, we're waiting for you. I'm right here, buddy. I'm right here for you. I'm gonna get into the show today. We got a great lineup for you. I just mentioned George ripping some Survivor off the hop. We're gonna talk through two Survivor plays this week. We're gonna do our Underdog Parlay. We are 4-9 outright on the Underdog Parlay, so not the best, but still pretty good considering we're betting Underdog coin flips just below 500, 50%, which is kind of what you'd expect with what we're betting. But I will say we are directionally correct with these, which is, the idea of it. I believe every single team we've picked for our Underdog Parlay has eventually covered their spread. So are we due? I don't know. We're directionally correct here. The process is good. We just need the outcomes to happen. So good process. Hopefully we'll get the outcomes soon. After that, Austin's going to come on, talk some college football, Week 13. Playoff implications for the college football playoffs. Obviously the most important game of the week. Maybe the game of the season. Oregon facing USC. Big game there. I think that might be a playoff eliminator game. We'll see. We'll talk to Austin about that. A couple other games to talk about. We focus so much on the ACC in this on this program, but it's the most interesting conference. They're so bad that it's good. So I want to talk a little bit about the ACC. And then finally, to close out the show, Jack Miller's going to call. And we're going to dig through some player pops. So much is going on right now. Bucky Irving likely to be ruled out. Joe Burrow, I saw a line move back towards away from I saw the line move away from the Bengals. Is New England took some money? Is that maybe Joe Burrow coming back? Not coming back? Joe Burrow gets ruled in and everyone just started clicking New England because this is maybe the bottom point for Cincinnati. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to be here. But I just saw some movement there. So a lot to talk through in terms of injuries. Going to bring on George just a second here. But yeah, a lot to talk about today. I'm really excited to get into things. Before we do that, though, before we bring on George, just want to quickly remind you guys about BetStamp Pro. With football in full swing and basketball back on the board, now's the time to lock in the BetStamp Pro prop screen. Pro is built for high-level bettors who need to spot and scale up edges fast between NFL Sundays, college football Saturdays, and daily NBA action. Prop markets are more liquid and prices are sharper than ever, so the window to exploit inefficient numbers is right now. You can't do that without a hyper-efficient, reliable, true line that shows you the real market price across 150-plus outs, helping you find and hit scalable edges. Don't wait. The opportunity to capitalize on the prop market is right now. Visit betstamp.com/hammer or scan the QR code to apply for a demo. Spots are limited during the season. All right, let's get into things here. Going to bring on George. Quickly, before we bring on George, if you're watching on Twitter, come over on YouTube. George loves to answer questions. We're going to have a lot of questions. Oh, Burrow will not play. Okay, there we go. Thank you, E-Colt. I just had the screen open. That's all I saw. I had BetStamp Pro open. I saw things move. Got my little alert saying there was a large movement on New England. So, yeah. That's another reason why BetStamp Pro is pretty good. Got the injury news without even realizing I got the injury news. If you're watching on Twitter, come over to YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, smash the like button.
Or podcast.
Yes, I forgot to mention that yesterday. Someone reached out to me and said, "You guys are on Spotify?" I said, "Yeah, we're on Spotify. If you guys ever miss a show, you can check out our Spotify. Link is in the description. You can check out all our shows on Spotify. No pips today, unfortunately. Big NBA slate. Apologize. Maybe I'll I don't know. Maybe we can talk to him about that. Anyways, let's get into things here. Let's bring up George. He's the director of marketing at the Hammer HQ, host of Forward Progress, and he had the greasiest underwin, I think, all season maybe. George, how's it going?
I'm good. I deserve that under. This wasn't like Dallas Vegas under because of like pure fluke and luck. This was like outside of that 2 touchdown sequence. This was a fucking clear under game.
Yeah, wonderful day for you. Wonderful day for you. I could see it was a clear under game. Josh Allen just couldn't get things going, and I was so. We squad rode the Bills, and we got
Can I just say, like, for the under on that game, it's just the perfect example of, like, you're able to say anything's like a bad beat, because, like, anyone who watched the game is like, well, there was so many points first half, it should have easily gone over. Then you watched it, George, from your perspective, like, well, all this bullshit at the end of the first half, it should have been an easy under.
It didn't feel like an over game at any point. Like, in fact, that was the only moment where, like, you blinked and you're like, oh my, we're on pace for the over now. What happened?
Yeah.
Because like at 9-3, halfway through the second quarter, I was feeling pretty good about where we stood.
Yeah, no, for sure. Also, I think like those like 7 injuries that happened over like 4 plays, like between the ref, just really took the wind out of the game. It felt like, and just like it just killed everything.
It's miraculous. So there was a bunch of guys who went to the tent, and I do like post injury cleanup every night. So like I sleep late on game nights. Only Terrell Bernard was the only person, the Bills linebacker, who's like at risk moving forward. Everybody else got cleared. This was actually a clean injury game, but there was a million injury checks.
Yeah, clean injury game for the Bills. They get the little bit of extra rest, which will help. Any update on the referee, George, and your injury finagling there, deciphering through what happened?
You know what? I don't track referee injuries. I did see someone say though.
Probably
incredible Chiefs player got injured in the game.
That's a good one. Oh, that's good one. All right, let's get into Survivor talk now. Plenty of teams to pick here. One of them being let's start with New England Cincinnati, because it seems like what Ecolt said in the chat said not confirmed that Burrow will not play, just guessing based on the line move.
No, it's based on a couple things. Reporters are saying that Joe Burrow's kind of like stretching to the side. Him and Flacco are throwing, but Flacco's getting more of the first team reps.
Okay.
And here's what I'm suspecting now. We made a lot about Burrow getting all the first team reps the last 2 days, but Flacco was limited with his shoulder.
Yes.
The real question was going to be if Flacco was full, would him or Burrow get more touches? Now it's starting to feel like the Burrow stuff is a ramp up for Thursday. So he's because a lot of the teams don't practice on the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They're like simulated walkthroughs and stuff and projected like an estimation of what the injury report would be. This might have been his only real chance to get in practice reps for the Thursday game. That being said, we don't know yet. The line is 6.5. So there was like 5.5, 6s out there. There's a 7 out there in market. FanDuel's heavily shaded at the 6.5. If Burrow's rolled out, we're going to go back to 8.5, and Big Daddy G-Stack's going to have good CLV again on his double hammer.
7.5, baby.
There we go.
7.5, baby.
There we go.
G-Stack.
We talked about it last night, though. I said, like, the 5.5, you might as well just click it. Like, there was a slightly shaded 5.5, and I was wondering why people wouldn't just click it now. And I guess, yeah, some people want to take the risk on it. Didn't get it. I was one of those people. Should have clicked it. Happens. Let's look at it from the scope of Survivor, though. New England, not a lot of availability. People take them early on in the season, kind of unsure as to if they would actually be a good team. Turns out they are a good team. So people sitting on New England, you have a couple more spots for them: week 13, week 17, week 18. What do you project their ownership this week? How would you attack this in Survivor?
So it's 2 to 2.5%. I'm surprised, to be honest. If you still have New England, there's so many big favorites to take. They get a week 17 game at the New York Jets, which is the big one because week 17 is shaping up to be a difficult week for many teams, especially if you have to use Seattle here. Like, I'd rather use Seattle here and then New England week 17 at the Jets than taking New England here and then Seattle week 17 at Carolina. It doesn't make sense to me that if you had both teams available that you'd combo them like that. Obviously, week 13 is tempting because it's a reduced schedule because of the Thanksgiving games. You lose 4 games in certain Survivor pools, so that's tempting. But only 7 to 12% availability left, 74% win probability. But that number could go down as low as 70%. And it could shoot back up to like near 80% again, depending on Burrow's availability.
Yeah, it's all going to depend on if Burrow will play. Even if Burrow was playing, we don't really know you're taking a big risk here, taking New England and Survivor. We don't know how the ability of Joe Burrow, if he were to play, is he truly 100%? Maybe something you don't really want to risk on when there's other big spreads, including the Minnesota and Green Bay game. Green Bay -6.5 right now, 13 to 16% availability. By the way, George, someone reached out to me on Twitter a couple days ago, asked how you calculated availability. So quickly just go through that because I want to let that person know how you do it, and then talk us through the Minnesota Green Bay game.
So part of it, and the reason there's a range is there's the stuff that are holiday specific stuff. Like, so you're going to see Baltimore, Detroit have a wider skew. And then it's just a stuff that I'm in and then publicly available stuff. So it's kind of creating a melting pot of ranges. Most Survivor leagues you're in will tell you what availability is. And so it's just a melting pot of that for myself.
Okay, makes perfect sense. And then, just talk about Green Bay here.
I will say, if you haven't used Green Bay at this point, you've basically it's like Survivor malpractice. I had an argument with a friend who last week used New England on both of his entries, and he had Green Bay available, and I just yelling at him because New England has so much future value, and Green Bay's value is this week or week 14 against Chicago. Last week was the week to take them against the Giants, against a backup quarterback without a receiver. That being said, I don't like taking them here. They're projected at 1 to 2% ownership. I think if you've already made it this far, there's too many other good, easy options. You might as well hold them for that week 14 spot or week 18 at Minnesota. It'll be tempting too. But that being said, I don't have a feel for this game, if I'm being completely honest. I don't know what to make of J.J. McCarthy, and I don't know what the Green Bay offense would look like without Josh Jacobs potentially.
Yeah, Green Bay has been a part of plenty of upsets this year, knocking some people out of Survivor. And if you haven't taken Green Bay yet, feels like two stingy divisional games as your only two options really left, unless you want to go like week 18 at Minnesota, where like Green Bay might not even be playing for anything. They might just be in the playoffs, or who knows what will happen in week 18. It's hard to plan for week 18.
I can't fathom how no one somebody would have let them not be used last week.
Yeah,
England was the obvious choice, but they have also obvious choices later.
Yes.
That was it for Green Bay. That was the most optimal time to use them was last week. But the other one was Baltimore last week. If you remember, it was high availability, and people are doing the math right now, Jason, about should I use them now? Should I use them in Thanksgiving? So they're projected at a 24 to 27% ownership this week. In Thanksgiving necessary leagues, it could be lower. I think if anyone has Baltimore and Philly, I think they've already committed to using Philly in Thanksgiving and using Baltimore this week, or saving Baltimore maybe for week 14 against Pittsburgh. I don't know that they'd want week 15 at Cincinnati. 89% win probability. This is the range, 42 to 62% availability, depending on the leagues you're in.
Yeah. 13.5 point spread, against the Jets this week. This all depends on if you have Thanksgiving in your pool or not. So it's going to be a very widespread distribution here. Let's stick with the other Thanksgiving game that people could be considering in these Thanksgiving pools. Giants at Detroit. Detroit 9.5 point favorites. I think it's moved up a bit since this.
It's bombed. It's 12.5, 13. It's no Jackson Dart. So the line's back to where we thought it would go. Future spots. So they have like a 7 to 11% ownership this week, which is like availability is 7 to 24%, right? So if you still have them and you're not in a holiday league, this is the absolute stone cold nuts to use them. Like week 14 against Dallas, that's a tough game. Week 16 home against Pittsburgh might be easy, but I don't know. I don't know that it's easier than this spot. And then week 17 and 18 at Minnesota, at Chicago. This feels like the week. If you're not in a holiday league, if you still have Detroit, if you're one of the 7 to 11%, you have to click Detroit in this week.
Yeah, makes perfect sense here. So if you had, for example, let's just say you had both Baltimore and Detroit, which is like a pretty unique path, how would you go about things here? Because it seems like Joe Burrow will probably play. You have two tough Thanksgiving matchups if Joe Burrow does play in week 13, Cincinnati for Baltimore, and then Detroit playing Detroit's playing Minnesota. Sorry.
Here's what I would look at it, right? Say you're in a holiday league. Obviously, Baltimore has the better holiday spot, which is the biggest spread. They're projected to be 7-point favorites or a little bit a touch higher. Detroit is projected to be under a touchdown
against Green Bay.
Say you're not in a holiday league. Here's the math you're doing, right? Detroit week 16 versus Pittsburgh. It all depends on if you have Houston or Kansas City that week, because Houston's playing Houston's playing Las Vegas at home. Kansas City's playing Tennessee. And then on the flip side, Baltimore, if you're going to the week 14 versus Pittsburgh's the next premium spot, again, non-holiday consideration. Do you have Tampa Bay available against New Orleans that week? So now it's all about combos. You start to do the math about, if I take them this week, then what do I take that week? And it's like the combined win probability. That's how I've been handling it, of like the different pathways now, because we're so short now. There's like nine or so weeks left to go, depending on your format. You start to do the math of like, what is this 4-team combo? So you're isolating your 4 weeks and you're tweaking in this, and this, and what's the best pathway.
All right. Let's close it out here with actually two games you like. Seattle at Tennessee. If you're not going Detroit this week, Seattle's probably the biggest spread on the board available to you if you have Seattle. Seattle at Tennessee projected. You have them at 26 to 29% ownership this week. Talk us through this one.
Oddly enough, I think this is the toughest decision. And it's not a decision of like, is Seattle going to lose? Because they're going to win. It's a decision of, do I take them this week? And then week 17, which is projected to be a very difficult week, not have them available at Carolina? Or do I take another big favorite and then know that I have Seattle in pocket for week 17 at Carolina? 26 to 29% ownership. They're going to be one of the highest pick teams this week, because it's whoever hasn't used them yet. This is the decision. It's this week, or do you want to have like the stone cold nuts in week 17, the biggest favorite on the board? That's the conversation happening. And then the other one that's big is San Francisco. Right now, 7-point favorites, projected to be 24 to 31% ownership. Here's the math on it. They're available in 95 to 96% of leagues. Nobody's used San Francisco. It's this week. It's week 13 at Cleveland, week 15 versus Tennessee, and week 17 at Chicago. If you can avoid using them this week, you could start thinking week 13, do I want him here against Cleveland, against maybe Shedeur Sanders? Week 15 versus Tennessee is the easiest. They'll be the biggest projected favorite that week for themselves. But then you might get to week 15, have another option and say, you know what? I might want to just stick with them a little bit longer, hold them for that tough week 17 matchup where they're projected to be like a 4-point favorite right now against the Bears, who are a frisky team. That being said, when we do our underdog parlay, I'm going to tell you all the reasons why I don't think people should be taking San Fran this week.
All right, let's get into our underdog parlay, George, because I'm a little scared because I think I'm taking San Fran. So
let's say this, Jason.
Go for it.
First of all, we're 4 of 9 on these things. On plus money, if you bet them individually, you're making money.
Yes.
9-0 against the spread. We've literally lost a few coin flips for the reason why we have not banged one home yet.
Sorry, I can't. You can't say bet them individually.
Well, we did say to. Whoa, hold on,
Jacob. The premise I'm trying to say is that 9-0 against the spread. If like we lost a couple games in overtime, we lost a couple games by 1 point, we lost a game by 3 points in which it came down to like a last second field goal. I'm saying directionally we've been accurate. Doesn't mean we've banged home, a plus 1,800, plus 2,000 underdog parlay.
Right.
But if you're treating them as individual legs, you've made money betting them individually or on the spread.
All right.
And we like every single time we bring this up, I say to round. I do mention it's probably a good idea to round robin them.
But
the round robin, yeah.
This week it's winning those. Don't
Okay.
worry. I'm kidding. Okay, let's start with Pittsburgh. Right now the line is like 2.5. The truth is, I make the line under that with Aaron Rodgers, even with Mason Rudolph. It's right about that point. So a lot of the times when I'm betting these, it's just simply as my line does not compute with what's currently in market. The big one for me is obviously these teams are very heavy on creating turnovers and not giving the ball away. Chicago, I think, will run the ball successfully, and that scares me. But I don't know who's playing linebacker for Chicago. TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, and Noah Sewell haven't practiced this week. there's a game in which Jalen Warren or Kenneth Gainwell, whoever is playing, is going to have a big game. And I'm just thinking about Darnell Washington catching a screen, and I don't know who's making the tackle because no one on Cincinnati could tackle him. And I don't know that your fourth, fifth, and sixth string linebackers in Chicago will. So I like Pittsburgh in a game that I think is truly a toss-up.
All right. Pittsburgh in a toss-up. Next game you have is Dallas.
Yeah, I love Dallas.
I like Dallas too.
I think their defense is a lot better than perceived now that they've got enforcements. The truth is, I don't like Philly's offense. They're missing Lane Johnson. Cam Jurgens limited, but I don't know that he's going to go. It's going to be iffy. I don't know that I want my center iffy against Quinnen Williams and Kenny Clark in the middle. Dallas generates a ton of pressure too. And truly, Philly's defense has been awesome, but Dallas also has a very, very high-end offense. I make this game, again, under a field goal. So I'm showing tremendous value on Dallas on the spread, showing tremendous value on the money line. So in a game that I think is a coin flip, again, these are the stuff I look for in an underdog money line parlay.
Yep. Cowboys plus 148. I think we talked a little bit about the Eagles and the Cowboys yesterday. It's not even that the Cowboys defense, I think is better than the market is giving them credit for. The Eagles offense just kind of sucks. And whenever they face resistance, they can't really score or create first down. So, and then let's get to the last game here, San Francisco, Carolina. You're fighting eager this week.
Both of these teams have linebacker troubles. Carolina, Trevin Wallace and Christian Roseboom not practicing. Tatum Bethune out for weeks from San Francisco. They're backup to the backup. Luke Gifford also limited. Add in a little bit of their kickers out, and there's going to be an adventure. But the truth is, I think Carolina can successfully run this ball. And I think there's opportunities for Bryce Young to throw the ball. San Francisco is the worst team at creating pressure. 29% of dropbacks only pressure. So Bryce Young sitting back comfortably in a pocket with an opportunity to move the ball. It's a reason why this total is clearly trending up. It was 48.5. Now it's 49.5 in market. On the other side, I do think San Francisco also moves the ball well. But I have a little bit more faith that Carolina might get some goal line stops because they are actually quite good at defending the run. Truly, this is a high value play. And here's my gauge. And we used this with Houston last week. So I obviously have discussions with myself about Survivor. And there was an uneasiness of the thought of putting Houston in as a Survivor. And I have that same uneasiness because I'd love to use San Fran here so that I could save Seattle for week 17. I'd love to. That's the best long-term outlook. And I have such an uneasiness about San Francisco in a game that I think that Carolina is very live in. Still expect San Fran to win, but not at the number it's at. 7-point favorite. I disagree completely with that number.
George, you and I are on the same page here. I'm still likely going to take 49ers in Survivor, but we talked about this yesterday. The 7 just feels a little too big for me with this San Francisco team, but could be wrong. Maybe I'm undervaluing the health and the return to health for this San Francisco offense, where it could become truly let's I don't want to call it elite, but it's really good if they can get the healthy pieces back together and flowing, like Brock Purdy and the receiving core, Kittle,
George Kittle. Kittle's a
McCaffrey.
fantastic blocker.
Yeah.
The run game's been way different since he's returned. And Carolina has no linebackers. So you might see a lot of second-level runs from Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, I'm afraid. The San Fran offense looks good. I think I'll never feel comfortable because I don't think I'm going to get the stops with Carolina.
Yes.
I'm betting on Bryce Young outscoring Kyle Shanahan. That's unbelievable.
Not even Brock Purdy, Kyle Shanahan. I love it. All right, Cowboys plus 148, Steelers plus 120, Panthers plus 295, 20-1. Parlay. If you
do it one time.
Not this time. Maybe next time because I can't have Carolina win. But
you're a brave man. Monday Night Football watch along, and you're going to be spinning this.
Yeah. I haven't even factored that in, so that's going to be great. I am 2-1 on watch along, or 3-1 on watch along. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah,
for Survivor. Anyways, George, appreciate you joining the show. We'll chat next week.
Absolutely, my friend. Take care. Have a good one.
Right, thanks. See you, buddy. All right, good stuff there. It seems like Bengals Just looking at what I'm seeing on Twitter, Bengals have until 4 p.m. on Saturday to activate Joe Burrow for the game. Maybe that's.
I don't think he's playing.
You don't think he's playing? Eh?
No.
Interesting.
Doesn't look. I mean, they're continuing to take money. Certainly doesn't look like it.
I think they're continuing to take money because, like we talked about with Austin yesterday, everyone has the same idea. Everyone wants the low point of Cincinnati, and then everyone just wants to come and pile in on the Patriots. And we're seeing, all right, everyone's weighing the risk of if Burrow's going to play, and they're like, "Fuck it, I'd rather just click it now." And if he plays, he plays. Like, and
wouldn't they have done that yesterday if they felt that was the case?
I think they felt that the number would have moved down more. Like you guys talked about, like everyone expected the number to move a little bit more if Burrow was ruled in, but I never thought that was going to be the case. But we never got to.
We have a good person to ask.
All right,
their thoughts on the update.
Before we bring him on, though, just got to give you a quick shout out to our good friends and sponsors over at FanDuel. All right, your Friday night just got a little bit louder because NBA Happy Hour is live on FanDuel every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. FanDuel's running limited time specials to pregame your weekend. We're talking boosts, bonuses, surprises, all dropping right in the app. Here's the move. Check the app on Friday to see what that week's special is. Then make your play before the shot clock expires at 7:30. I know my Friday routine. I get off the hammer daily. We got a meeting today. I'm going to go home, go to the gym, open up FanDuel, and start smashing as many boosts as I can get on there. It's like my Friday hoops tradition. We'll see what we can find for today. It's a perfect way to kick off your weekend. A little basketball, a little action, and a whole lot of Friday energy. That's NBA Happy Hour every Friday from 6 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern, only on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Please play responsibly. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas and affiliates, Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, 19 plus and physically located in Ontario, 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Rewards are non-withdrawable. Restrictions apply, including bonus and token expiration. Leg requirements, max wager amount. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Visit rghelp.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/Stratton, Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-227-5050 for 24 hours support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In New York, call Connex Ontario 1-866-531-2600 or visit connexontario.ca. All right. Austin. He's up next. You know him. You probably saw him last night on the watch along or on Forward Progress, the Thursday show, where he gives out, his best bets. Single hammer, double hammer, triple hammer. He's an NFL, college football projections, does that over at The Athletic. Also, I recently learned a part of the Heisman selection committee, which I'll avoid Heisman questions moving forward. Austin, how's it going? I think you're muted on your end, Austin. Uh-oh. I don't think he liked
Yes,
that.
I am. I must have bumped my mic.
That's
my bad.
That happens.
The Heisman committee is very large. Committee
Okay.
makes it sound like it's like 10 of us.
Sorry.
There's
Heisman
my
voters.
vote is inconsequential. I just want to throw that out
Well,
there.
here's the thing. It matters to me. So
There you
go. I think your vote matters. Anyways, before we send to a little bit of college football stuff that we'll get into, but you're not just a college football guy. As people know, you're also a big NFL guy as well. So talk to me about this Burrow stuff. We talked about how we think the line might move yesterday. What's your reaction to all this, to the New England money we're seeing piling on right now?
Yeah, so I think it's percentages, right? Like, what percentage do you think that Burrow's going to play? What percentage do you think he's not going to play? Obviously, so I think early in the week, he had the full practices. I think to your point when you were talking there earlier about what the entry point is for people, and hey, is it going to get a little bit lower? Like if he practices or even if he stretched today, like that kind of seems like that was the big news. He was thrown a little bit as it's come out later. I think people adjusted like, hey, it might be 75% to now it's 50-50, right? Or something like that. Where I think there was a chance that if he does get ruled in, we might tick down a little bit lower, but not looking great. I've taken some pats this morning, as I do think I'm pretty good with them. Even if Burrow plays, I feel pretty. I'll go back to the well, as we said last night on the watch along. So I think it just depends on where the market, like what percentage. I think we've just seen a big shift back to like a coin flip, or even less of him playing. So I do think that there was a chance for that line to go down even further if he was ruled in. So.
Okay, all right, but. So it's interesting because there's still a chance for him to be ruled in on Saturday, but this is just pricing, I guess, people. This is just a reaction to what people saw in terms of practice reports, saying, "Hey, let's say I thought Burrow there was a 75% chance he'll play. Now it's probably closer to a 50. So let's pile in on New England. That's probably what's happening here."
Yeah, that's how I'm interpreting it. You went full practice, so people kind of assume, hey, like things are looking pretty good. Obviously, the percentages of him are playing goes up with those, and then now that he's, I don't know, he might be limited. I don't think it's going to be a full practice today, but that goes down. Obviously, there's still a chance. It's kind of like the whole, like if they're listed as probable, which nobody gets listed as probable, it's like 90% to play. Yeah, questionables maybe 50-50, doubtfuls like 10. So just kind of that's how I'm thinking of it. I think we're back to maybe a coin flip at best for Burrow to play on Sunday.
All right, back to a coin flip for Burrow. Should be interesting. Considering no Chase either. So, all right, let's get into college football. There's no other place to start than the game of the year. USC at Oregon. 9.5 point spread last time I looked. I doubt it's moved since then. Lucky few got in at the 10.5, which is I don't know why that was out there for a bit, but 9.5 right now. Oh no, never mind. 9.5 juiced to Oregon. So it seems like we're in between that 9.5 and 10.5 range, like around a 10 here. Do you agree with this number right now? Because I forget who I talked to. I don't know if it was you, if it was Corby. Maybe I'm just making this up in my head. I thought you guys were telling me that USC Oregon might be under a touchdown in Oregon, but I was off there, I guess.
It might have been. I think if this gets to 10, I'll probably be on USC. So I am of the agreement that this should be closer to. I don't know if I'm really rushing to bet 9.5.
Yeah.
I definitely want double digits, but yeah, I think that this is getting a little expensive for Oregon in my mind. So yeah, it pains me to say it while I'm on this show with you, but I do think USC is the right side.
Am I worried right now? Because everyone's coming on and saying 10.5 is too much, 9.5. But it seems just right. But like, it seems like we're moving to 10.5. Should I be worried about this? Like, you guys are all coming on here saying you don't like that you're on my side, but you are on my side. So talk us through why maybe Oregon is catching money, even though they might be dealing with like some injury issues throughout their lineup.
Yeah, Oregon's still they're still a good team. They're weird. They haven't performed all that well against the best competition that they faced this year. They kind of got destroyed by Indiana at home early in the year. Like, Indiana threw a pick 6 in that game and still won by double digits. So they were handled there. They go on the road to Penn State early in the year. Obviously Penn State was healthier at that point, but they didn't look like they only scored 17 points on the road in that game. We see how Penn State's season has gone. So I'm a little shocked, but also I think it might just be a little bit of, is USC for real? Like, who have they beaten this year? And when they've stepped up in class against Notre Dame, they kind of got ran all over. Are they going to be able to stop the run against Oregon tonight or tomorrow? So I think there's a little bit of kind of uncertainty on both sides, whereas Oregon's the more talented team. They've been there. I think people have a little bit more faith, and they're at home. That's a big thing as well. But I don't know if I'm really running to the window with a team with an offense that USC has. 10 is a lot that Oregon has to cover here. So I do think that's a little bit much. But again, they're a more talented team. They're better, but I don't know. I don't know if I'm rushing to the window here.
Can I push back quickly on when you said who did USC beat? I would argue that USC has a better win than Oregon does on their entire schedule in Michigan. USC over Michigan.
Sure, but so my point is more of neither of these teams have played or beaten any of the elites, which I don't like. If you want to, I think elite is a little bit. I don't know who is elite in today's.
It's like Ohio State, that's it.
Right? And even if you want to throw Indiana in that conversation, in Oregon didn't really compete against them. So, it's more of just we don't know. Michigan's a super volatile team this year. They haven't been very good on the road this year, so that's another So I think it's more of that uncertainty with hey, is Michigan good? That game was at USC, so can USC travel on the road this year? So we'll see. I'm on USC, or I will be if we can get a 10 here, which it looks like we might be able to. But I can see why Oregon's favored.
Yeah, the two biggest losses, Illinois and Notre Dame for USC, were both on the road as well. So again, tough spot here on the road for USC. But you know what? The game that will define the Lincoln Riley era in USC. My question to you before we head out of this game, is this a playoff eliminator? If either of these teams lose, are they almost pretty much out of the playoffs? Or do you think USC and or probably Oregon more so than USC. But if either of these teams lose, like, is there still a path for them to make the playoffs?
Yeah, I think USC, if they lose, they're pretty much out.
Yeah.
I don't know the tiebreakers off the top of my head. If like somehow, like if Ohio State loses both of their games,
Well,
Michigan loses.
Oh yeah, because they would have two.
Like if Michigan loses this weekend, so I don't know if there's still a path. Like I don't know if they're like, I guess there's a chance that they can win the Big Ten championship. Obviously,
Yes.
I don't think they can get in as an at-large
Yes.
if they lose. I'll
Yes.
word it that way.
Yes.
Oregon, they still have a chance, but I think people will be shocked. I think Oregon, if they lose, Oregon would drop, I think, a pretty good bit, and I think they could even fall like closer to the like Texas Michigan range in the rankings. And I think if Oregon and Michigan both end up 10-2, I think Michigan will jump them. So from Oregon's standpoint, they're going to need some help if they lose this game. Their resume is pretty poor, as we talked about earlier. They have not really beaten anybody. They've played a pretty weak schedule in terms of the Big Ten. They didn't play Michigan. Penn State ended up not being the team that we thought they were going to be. They didn't play Ohio State. So I do think Oregon's going to, it's not like, hey, they get to 10-2, they're safe. I think they're going to need some help at 10-2. And then obviously they need to win next week as well. But I think people might be shocked how far Oregon falls if they do lose the USC this weekend.
Yeah, but I think also maybe I agree with you with this, but maybe like just to push back a bit, like the team that USC is viewed at might change drastically if they beat Oregon. Right. So
sure, but so I guess the point though is like, okay, we'll just compare to Michigan. Michigan was ranked 18th. Like
yes.
Michigan, I think, has some work to do as well.
Yes.
Michigan's 2 losses. I don't like if you want to say Michigan doesn't have like a great win. Michigan's 2 losses are at Oklahoma and at USC, who now USC is going to be a top 12-ish team. And Oregon's is you lost at home to Indiana, obviously a very good team, but it was at home, and you lost at home to USC. So there's just a lot of, it's just not there. I think they're less than 50%. I think I have it less than 40% to make the playoff if they lose this game. So if you're a Ducks fan out there, this is about as big as it gets in terms of when you have one loss. This is a pretty big swing for a team that you think, again, I think we just assumed like 10-2 you're going to be in. I don't think that's the case right now with how things are shaking up. A lot of football left to be played, but just something to keep an eye on with Oregon if you're looking to get involved with their playoff futures and whatnot.
F them Ducks, as the kids say. Let's talk about. Well, you wanted to talk a little bit about Cincy and UNLV. Let's start with UNLV tonight. Anything you like in this Hawaii UNLV game?
Yeah, I like UNLV right now over at FanDuel, -2.5, -120. I like that price. Pretty much like anything. I actually, if you get like a flat 3, I'm good with that as well. UNLV, pretty good offense. They can run the ball. Hawaii cannot stop the run. I think that's going to be a pretty big advantage here for UNLV. Dan Mullen, that's kind of been his bread and butter for all of his career as in college, coaching in college, that he has the QB run. They just have a diverse run game, and I think Hawaii is really going to struggle with it. 10:30 start Eastern time if you're so a little bit of a late start here, but I think under a field goal, even at a field goal, like I said, -3 flat, I think there's some room here because I think you cannot stop the run, and like UNLV's defense isn't something that I'm going to like sit on here and tout, but like I think it's one of these games where UNLV it's hard for Hawaii to get stops. Put them at home. I think UNLV has a pretty good chance to win this game by more than a field goal. So I like them a good bit here.
All right, let's go UNLV to win by more than a field goal. They're -2.5 right now over at FanDuel. Next game you want to touch on is going to like kind of be a segue into the Big 12 Conference Championship, even though we probably know who the winner is going to be. But hey, we've seen crazier things happen before. We've seen upsets happen before in these Conference Championships games. You want to touch on Cincinnati, and I believe they're playing BYU this week, which could swing things massively for the Big 12. And you actually like Cincinnati here.
Yeah, I think Cincinnati's had 2 rough games. That last 2, they got smoked by Utah. They lost to Arizona. That's kind of just the nature of the Big 12 is everybody's kind of compact, close together, as we can see in this game. Cincinnati's at home. They're a slight underdog. I like them to win. I like them on the money line here, +116 over at FanDuel. They, again, similarly, BYU can't stop the run. They're not great as a run defense. Cincinnati, very good on both passing and running the ball. And at home, I don't think BYU is very good. I think before those 2 losses, this game's probably I think there was a chance this game was going to be north of a field goal.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not hey, don't count those 2 games. Obviously, that happened, but I just think there's a clear advantage here for Cincinnati's offense. I think BYU is a little bit overrated. I think if you're looking at like college football playoff ranking compared to like where they're actually rated in my ratings from a power rating standpoint, the betting market, I think BYU is one of the more overrated teams in the country right now. So I think Cincinnati has again, I'm not in love with their defense. I think it's going to be one of those games where they can get consistent success on offense, which I like a good bit here for maybe a little bit of a wrong team favorite here. I think Cincinnati could have an argument to be the favorite in this one. So I like them. Shake up of the playoff a little bit. BYU is not exactly like a lock or anything, but I think Cincinnati can shake things up here. I like them on the money line.
All right, interesting stuff happens if BYU loses and Cincinnati wins, because then we'll have, assuming Utah, Houston, Arizona State all win, we're gonna have 5 teams tied at 6-2 in the Big 12. Right now, Utah is 8-1 to win the conference. BYU's plus 390. That's obviously baking in the fact that BYU is more likely to win this week than lose. But if that were to happen, we'd see some things shake up. Do you know how the tiebreaker scenario works at all in this situation? Have you looked into it or not really?
I haven't looked at. I'll probably do that before the games get started, so then we can kind of like keep it live as tomorrow goes on. But yeah, it's a mess. It was a mess last year.
Yes.
That was with like both teams getting in. There was no Texas Tech of last year. So I don't know exactly. Arizona State's still like somehow alive. I feel like they've been dead for weeks now. And
yes.
They did the same thing last year. They were like kind of dead last year and came out of nowhere. So yeah, this is going to be one of the more interesting races over the next 2 weeks. Again, like I said, the conference is so compact. Like Texas Tech is head and shoulders better than the rest of the conference, but like that for the second spot in the championship game, assuming Texas Tech doesn't get upset, is going to be quite the race, because I think anybody can pretty much lose any game in this conference. So I'm very excited to see how that goes.
Yeah. Utah right now, like I mentioned, plus priced at plus 850. It's because they play Kentucky and then Kansas State's like 2 pretty weak teams, 17.5 point favorites and 13.5 point favorites. But we've seen crazier stuff happen. Who knows? I would recommend, if you like Cincinnati this week, dig into the playoff scenarios, the conference tiebreakers, because 80-1 for them to get to the conference to be the conference champions is, you're gonna, if they can make it there, you're gonna have a pretty good money line bet that you can work your way out of against Texas Tech if you really don't like it that much. So, anyways, Austin, appreciate you. Any final thoughts before you head out here for this second last week of meaningful regular season college football?
Yeah, even if I'm not on them, if I don't get the 10, I'll be rooting for USC to. I just root for chaos. So USC adds an element of chaos, and like nobody will have any faith for them against UCLA in the final week. So like, just give me all of the chaos. And USC's, I think they kind of are like the key to unlock the chaos this week. I think USC. I'll be a big fan of theirs tomorrow. So don't let me down. That's what it's all for. College football is for chaos. I also give you permission to mute me between 3:30 p.m. and like 7 p.m. because I will be blowing up your phone no matter what happens. No matter what happens throughout the game. It's so over. We're so back. It's so over. We're so back. Anyways, Austin, I appreciate you. We'll chat soon. Yep. Thanks for having me. Have a good one. Awesome. Thanks, Austin. Great stuff there. Got to talk USC. You can see the smile on my face. It makes me happy. We'll see how I feel next week. Apologies to Jack, who's sitting behind there for a little bit. I just had to get my, had to get that USC out there. Let's bring him on, though. Without further ado, does NFL fantasy betting and projections over at Establish the Run. We missed on Robbie Chosen last week. He's prepared, though, this week. He's brought one in for this week, another long shot anytime touchdown scorer. Jack, how's it going?
It's going good. Thanks for having me on. I'm excited to be here and hopefully can get back on the right track with the deep cut. All right, yeah, we'll get back on it. And like, you normally wear hats on here. You have great hair. You shouldn't be wearing hats. What are you doing? Thank you. Yeah, I got a haircut today. Looks great. Looks great. All right, let's get into things though. Got a couple injury situations that have kind of shaken themselves out since we started the show, since I said you were going to talk about. But let's start with Bucky Irving here. Wrote down that he's likely out. He's confirmed out now. Sean Tucker looks like he took over the backfield last week. Looks much more explosive than Rachaad White. How do you feel like the backfield is going to be split this week? Will it be 50-50 against a tougher Rams defense? Will they maybe rely more on Rachaad White against the Rams defense that is like a lot better? What are you seeing this week? I think Tucker's definitely the favorite for base work after the performance he had last week. Throughout his career, Rachaad White has never really held on to a workhorse role for an extended period of time. He is a pretty premier pass catching back. And even last week when Sean Tucker was having a breakout career performance, Rachaad White was still clearly ahead for all the pass down stuff. And I think that there's pretty much zero chance that Tucker ever usurps White for that role. But I think coming off the week he had last week, you have to assume Tucker is going to get the majority of carries here.
All right, seems like Tucker's the guy, but a little bit of an interesting situation with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers because they have some sort of like illness or bug going around their entire team. I believe 3 of their 5 O-lines or O-linemen are right now dealing with an illness. Igbuka, illness. Baker Mayfield, illness. Are you worried at all heading into this game about these guys being sick? Like we saw them pop up on Wednesday. Do you think they'll recover in time? Is this just like how are you even going to like look at this game in terms from a props perspective if like half of the entire team is sick?
Yeah, I think it's kind of just like a wait and see. And hopefully we get more information and we can kind of see how the situation evolves throughout the weekend. Like you said, it started kind of in the early mid portion of the week, so maybe by Sunday they'll be all good. Projections wise, as of now, we don't have any like docs or anything on the Bucs right now. But I think for now it's just something to keep in mind. And if it looks like it's going to have an impact come Sunday, maybe we make some adjustments. But right now we're kind of just like keeping it in mind, but haven't actually made any changes yet.
All right, let's flip over and talk Patriots, Bengals. Let's start with Burrow here because it seems like now he's not coming back, but like a couple hours ago, it seemed like he was coming back, closer to a 50-50. Let's say Burrow does come back this week. How much does it lift this offense without Jamar Chase? Who in this offense is lifted without Jamar Chase being there? We know Higgins is going to be the guy, but who's going to get the work behind him? With Joe Burrow or without Joe Burrow? Is it going to be Chase Brown? Is it going to be Andre Yoshivas? Is it going to be Noah Fant? Like, who's going to be the guy getting the receiving work, the leftover receiving work? Or is it just going to be like feed the ball to Higgins and go from there?
Yeah, I think if Burrow's back, it's kind of like a rising tide lifts all boats scenario where it helps everyone. I think with Chase out specifically, I think Higgins will be the clear wide receiver 1 here. I think Yoshivas steps into the wide receiver 2 role, and then probably Mitchell Tinsley in the wide receiver 3 role. And Yoshi's played a lot of slot this year, so we're thinking they kind of kick him outside in 2 wide receiver sets and then keep him in the slot there. And Tinsley plays outside in the 3 receiver sets. But I think another one to watch here is Mike Gesicki's status. He's questionable right now. I honestly I haven't looked to see if there are any like quotes from today about his status, but last year when Higgins would leave a game early or miss some snaps or whatever, it would be Gesicki basically operating as like a pseudo wide receiver. And so I think if Gesicki plays and if he's actually healthy, you could see something like that. But he still needs to be activated. And so we'll see what happens there. But if he is, I think he could have, if he's actually healthy, I think he could have a pretty big role too, but we'll just have to see what his status is.
Yeah. No real updates. He was a full on yesterday. It seems like from what I've seen on Twitter is that officially questionable by some beat reporters from Cincinnati. So we'll have to wait and see there. Let's flip over to the other side of the ball where we'll have to see what happens with the Ramondre Stevenson situation because it seems like he might be back from his toe injury here. 2 limiteds for him. If he does come back, what is his backfield going to look like? Like one would think that Travion Henderson's finally shown something, but Vrabel has shown some form of Travion Henderson aversion for some strange reason. I don't know why, but how do you see this shaking out if Ramondre Stevenson is back? Is it just Stevenson back to getting the full load again, or Henderson worked in a little bit more than what we expected?
I definitely don't think it's Ramondre getting the full load. I definitely think it's a big question mark and kind of a guessing game as to what the exact split looks like. I'm sure this will change throughout the weekend, but projections wise right now, we've literally just kind of thrown our hands up and we have them for the same number of carries right now, just a 50-50 split and hoping we get more information. The quotes on Ramondre this week have been a little more, I don't know if ominous is the right word, but a little like less promising than maybe we expected since it seemed like he'd be healthy for this game. I think Vrabel said on Wednesday that he will have the conversation about what the split looks like once they confirm that they're going to have Ramondre. So we'll see if he ends up playing. I lean yes right now, but it wouldn't really surprise me if he doesn't. And he could be limited in his first game back too, given that it seems like he's still pretty banged up. So this is another one where like hopefully we get more information over the next couple of days. But right now we just threw our hands up in the air and gave them each the same number of carries.
Yeah, it's a guessing game here. It's also interesting because like obviously Travion Henderson, love the way he looks, super explosive, but like his stuff comes in chunks. It's like if he can break off a big run, then he'll put up a massive yard number, as we saw in that game 2 weeks ago against I forget who they were playing now, but yeah, and we saw it 2 weeks ago and last week as well. So yeah, we'll see if Travion Henderson can get that volume again to kind of get going and keep things rolling here. Last guy I want to talk about is Josh Jacobs, who's most likely going to be ruled out if he hasn't already been ruled out already today. We've seen Emmanuel Wilson can kind of work his way in over the past couple of weeks, getting a couple carries here and there. Is it a foregone conclusion that Wilson will be the one getting majority of the work this week if Jacobs is for sure out? Haven't seen any lines posted. Do you think maybe Chris Brooks has a chance of working in at all?
I think Wilson will definitely be pretty heavily featured. In the past, they've used Chris Brooks on some pass downs.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, they did not do that. Last week, Emmanuel Wilson outsnapped Brooks 39-5, outrouted him 18-1. So we'll see if after a full week of practice, they maybe start to get Chris Brooks involved on pass downs. But based on the usage we've seen over the past 2 months, I definitely think it's going to be a pretty heavy dose of Wilson, and he's going to be the pretty clear RB1 here if Jacobs misses.
All right, seems like Wilson is the guy. Let's get into this thing. Anytime touchdown scores, deep cuts. Who did you bring to the table this week?
Yeah, we're gonna go Isaac Tesla. I saw a plus 850 to score a touchdown in this game. The Lions are gonna put up a bunch of points in this game. Tesla's route share grew to 41%.
Mm-hmm.
Last week. It was 23% the week prior and 5% in week 9. So definitely on the up, and it makes sense that they maybe want to use him more without Sam Laporta. And 3 of his 8 targets, this is a minuscule sample, but 3 of his 8 targets this year have come in the red zone, which kind of makes sense with his kind of size, speed combination. He's an athletic freak. He's a big guy who can get the jump balls. So we're going to go Isaac Tesla and kind of lean into the growing role there.
All right, Isaac Tesla, plus 850 over at FanDuel. Khalif Raymond is like plus 490. Seems like those guys should probably be closer together, but FanDuel doesn't agree. Jack, appreciate you joining the show. Any final thoughts here heading into week 12?
Not particularly, to be honest. Thanks for having me on.
Nothing. No, wait, hold on. There's got to have something at the forefront of your mind. I'm not letting you out that easy.
I'm trying to think. I mean, not really, to be honest.
Not looking forward to Thanksgiving at all. Is there anything that like you're?
Oh, I thought you meant for like this Sunday.
It could be this Sunday. Anything. Anything NFL related.
I love Thanksgiving. I know a lot of people at ETR kind of don't like having the kind of working football aspect of it. But I personally like it. So I'm excited for Thanksgiving for sure.
All right. Well, if I don't see you before Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. Hope you enjoy it. And yeah, we'll chat soon, Jack. Appreciate you joining the show.
Sure, yeah. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome stuff there from Jack. Yeah, great stuff and great show today. Appreciate you guys in the chat as well. You guys know the drill. Do us a favor, smash the like button before we head out here. Goes a long way on the channel. If you're new to the channel as well, hit the subscribe button. What do we got up next? Nothing up next for the rest of the day. Oh, yes. Circle back. Earlier today, 8 a.m. Eastern time. If you didn't listen to it, probably should after the show.
Good one.
There's a lot of time between now and hit the books. A lot of time for you to listen to Circle Back. If you're driving home right now, or if you're about to leave the office or a little bit early on a Friday and driving home, Circle Back. Great enjoyment. What was the lead topic there?
Lead topic, we talked about the debate that exists on math versus ball knowledge. So that was kind of brought up this weekend on Twitter. So we had all the panelists weigh in.
Interesting, because I think there's 2 ways to look at it. Obviously, ball knowledge could be helpful, but solely relying on ball knowledge is a little bit of a yeah.
You'll have to see what everyone said.
What did you think about it?
For me, I treated it like a bit of a bell curve. We're at the start of sports betting, like the lower tier sports bettors, they think that ball knowledge is everything. Then you kind of move up the bell curve, and then you're in the middle, like, you're winning and stuff. And then you think, I don't need to know anything about sports, just math. Then if you really want to get to the upper echelons of sports betting, you do need to recognize how much ball knowledge does play a factor in as well. So that's kind of
I think the perfect example is Pips, who obviously is very good with the math side of things, but I think he's unlocked part of his process that's maybe unlocked for him is the fact that he knows so much about defensive rotations, utilization, all that kind of stuff that you can't just.
Like he can just look at a line and say
that's wrong.
It's wrong.
Yeah. So, I think I agree with you on that. I'm curious to hear what the panelists say. I saw Mr. Peanut Butter tweeting about it, so I know where he lies. But listen, he's biased. He doesn't know anything about any form of ball, so obviously he's going to say math is the most important thing. And then tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern time.
Today as well as Hit the Books.
Oh, Hit the Books. Sorry, I forgot to mention that. 5 p.m. Eastern. We don't care
as much as we don't want to promote these guys.
I promote them too much.
We'll
if
get
anything.
in trouble.
I promote them too much, if anything. But you're gonna want to tune into that. Obviously, it's a great show.
What?
You know, I love college football. I'm gonna be in the chat asking about USC and Oregon. So, yeah.
Why don't you also promo the Thanksgiving schedule for next week?
Yeah, we can do that as well. Let's pull it up here. Loaded week. Thursday, we are taking the full day off, but Tuesday, we are going to have a combination of our best bets. So George, Rob, and Sumo will be together sharing their best bets. I believe that's for that's for the entire slate. And then the Thanksgiving extravaganza will be Rob, George, Austin, and a couple special guests where they break down the Thanksgiving games. And then they share some props as well towards the end of the show. We have the Thursday watch along. I think I said we had no shows on Thursday. I lied. Thursday watch along for the night game will be a lot of fun. I think George might be sweating a Survivor for that. No Hammer Daily on Thursday, so make sure you write that down in your calendar. And then finally, the watch along 2:45 p.m. Eastern time with Rob, George, and myself in office. That's going to be a fun one. Mm-hmm. We might even have Jeff. Jacob will stop by.
Maybe.
It'll be a good one. It'll be no, Ecole. No, of course not. What are we talking about here? Of course.
Yeah, the Thursday is going to be not in studio. It'll be online watch along.
Thursday will be online.
So Moreno will be there.
Yes, but he won't show up in studio. Also, reminder, Wednesday and Friday, Edgework Overtime instead of the original Tuesday and Thursday. And if we get 100 likes on both those videos individually, Alex, myself, and so many have agreed. Maybe Jacob as well if he wants to join the party. We'll eat a spicy chip. So
no thanks.
All right. Well, I don't think Alex wants to either, but he's forced to. Anyways, appreciate you guys for tuning in. And reminder, check out Hit the Books 5 p.m. Eastern time after the show, after you watch Circle Back live. So anyways, appreciate you guys. Been a fun week. Had a great time. This has been the Friday, November 21st edition of the Hammer Daily here on the Hammer Betting Network presented by our good friends at FanDuel. We will see you guys right here next week.